G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. Tonight I'm going to be doing a review of a horror movie from Italy. This is a horror slash crime thriller mystery released in the year 1975. Now, although this is an Italian movie, it was dubbed in English, as a lot of these films were from Italy in the 70s. So, released in 1975, directed by the very famous Dario Argento, and this film is called Deep Red. Now, these films are known as giallos. Now, if you're one of the very few people who don't know what a giallo is, it's kind of like the Italian crime sort of slash horror films that were very popular in the 70s, and it pretty much took the world by storm. So that is what a giallo is. It's kind of like its own little subgenre. So this movie falls under the giallo tag. So the story to this giallo is as follows. Considered by many to be terror maestro Dario Argento's true masterpiece, Deep Red stars David Hemmings as an American jazz pianist who witnesses a brutal murder from afar. He teams up with a local Italian journalist and turns detective to find the killer. But it is not long before the hunters become the hunted. So this very famous jazz musician, he is an American and, he's British, and he is living in Italy, and he's doing his stuff in Italy. One night he witnesses a murder from afar, and he doesn't know who the killer is, but this killer has brutally murdered a very well-known clairvoyant. And so no one knows who the killer is, but the jazz musician, the main character, he becomes obsessed with finding out who the killer is because, you know, he turns himself into... he does the work that a detective would. So he teams up with a local journalist who also wants to find out the truth, and this killer is starting to kill off a few more other people. And before long, what started off as them hunting him turns into the killer hunting them, so their lives are in grave danger. So if you want to know how this movie unfolds, please go out there and check this film out for yourself. Now my thoughts on the movie. Giallos are classed as absolute classics, in particular Dario Argento films. Now when you come up to think of Dario Argento, you think of a lot of style, camera angles, and a very strong soundtrack. Well, a soundtrack that is very unique and very typical of Dario Argento. So if you go into this film expecting that, you're going to you're going to be pleased. If you're a Dario Argento fan and you haven't checked this out yet, it has him stamped all over it. So it's typical Dario Argento. The cinematography is very strange, but very well done. And there's no doubt Dario Argento is very good behind a camera. It's got very bright colouring, which is what you'd expect. Red is the dominant colour, which stays true to the overall theme of the film of murder, and it stays true to the title. The soundtrack, I really didn't like it, but as I said, it's very unique. So whenever a director has his own unique qualities that you can pick out straight away, that's always a good thing. And creativity, especially these days, is a thing of the past. So this really is a throwback to the days, well, not a throwback, but it's reliving the days where, you know, directors were actually creative and they had their own flavour. So yeah, that's typical sort of Dario Argento in that regard. Now, if you want something a little bit deeper than, a good-looking cover, and you want a bit of depth and you want a bit of substance, you're going to be bitterly disappointed. After seeing this film, I was absolutely disappointed, to say the very least. I thought this was a very, very ordinary film. It goes for 2 hours. It should have only gone for an hour. It is very pretentious stuff, in my opinion. I know a lot of people out there like these sort of films, so, you know, each to their own. This is my opinion. But to me, this is a case of style over substance. This movie has the depth of a puddle. I thought, I thought it absolutely dragged. I just kept thinking, I've got a fairly good attention span and I can keep my mind on movies. But this one just dragged like you wouldn't believe, and by the end of it, I was just glad it finished. And, someone being, as good and as recognised as Dario Argento, I just expected it to be so much better than it was. Now, the choice of music, I know a lot of people, once again, like the choice of music and like the music that Dario Argento puts into his films. But as far as I'm concerned, he absolutely butchered every suspenseful scene because of absolutely ridiculous choices in music. I don't know who was responsible. Apparently he had a band named Goblin or something that did the music for him. But someone who is just considered such a maestro in the horror genre has, all the scary scenes in this film. There were a few scary scenes where the music actually fit well. There's an overall theme that the killer uses that I actually thought was quite chilling. But the most of the music he used in the horror sort of suspenseful scenes were just absolutely ridiculous. I just couldn't believe what he was doing. He butchered all of those suspenseful scenes that should have created a lot of terror, but in the end, it really failed, and it struck me as, an amateur sort of mistake. And I know that's kind of pig-headed to say that about someone like Dario Argento, but I just feel that this guy gets so much applause and credit, where I actually feel that this guy's a little bit overrated, to be honest. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hatred for that, but I do my reviews very honestly, and I don't care. You know, if I'm going to get crucified for saying what I think, then so be it. I'm not saying he's a bad director. I'm saying that he's a very unique one. He has his own flavour. But for me, considered such a masterpiece as this film was, I just expected so much more. So yeah, it's a very stylish film. It's a good looking movie, but it is very pretentious. It's full of itself, and as a result, for a 2-hour film, I was left wanting a whole lot more. So I'm only going to give this a 1.5 out of 5, 1.5 for all the style. The characters very annoying. The two leads were just, they come across as juvenile, and I really couldn't connect with them. So the majority of the film, I was waiting for the violence to happen. The violence is few and far between. Like, the violent set pieces are done very well in typical Dario Argento fashion. But while you're waiting for those horror scenes to come, it's very agonizing to go through all the dialogue and to go through, you know, all that waiting process, because it really does weigh the film down considerably. So 1.5 out of 5 for Deep Red. I was bitterly disappointed, and I think this is in fact a pretty ordinary film. All right to look at, but if you want anything in depth, then look elsewhere, because this one's certainly not going to provide that. Alright guys, that's my review for Deep Red. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, take care of yourselves and keep watching movies. And please remember, this is only my opinion. If you like Dario Argento, then, you know, good luck to you. I'm not saying you're an idiot for doing anything like that, for liking him. Each to their own, but for me, this movie really failed. So that's it. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.